Hello, this is Mr. Lane. I am here to teach a lesson on the standard OA4, which talks about dealing with or finding the unknown in a multiplication and division problem. So I want to make sure that you know there are a few things that you will hear often. The word unknown, a lot of times you hear it maybe called the missing number, or sometimes it'll be represented by a letter like Y or R. Okay, but today I'm just going to call it the unknown because that's what the standard calls it. So now I want you to pay attention. Make sure you pause when I ask you to pause so that you can work it along with me, because I want you to really be involved in what I'm saying. Okay, there will also be some times where I may ask you to write a few things that you're thinking. I may ask you to use the APE strategy, which is answer, prove, and then not only prove with words, but maybe prove with a picture or a multiplication equation or a division equation. So now I'm going to ask you to go ahead and write. I want you to pause the video and write number 1 and number 2 on your paper so that yours looks exactly like mine. So you're going to write 6 times the unknown equals 12, and then number 2, you're going to write the unknown times 4 equals 20. Go ahead and pause the video. Say that with me. Pause the video. That gives you time to look at what is behind me and to practice along with me. So right now, I'm going to stop talking for about 5 seconds, let you pause the video, and then I'm going to come back. But make sure everyone in your group is participating and make sure they are writing this along with you. All right, thank you. I'm going to stop now. All right, so now that you pause and you have these 2 equations written on your paper, I'm going to take you through some strategies that you can use and some things that you can think about in your head. Remember, division and multiplication have to do with each other. So whatever I do with multiplication to figure it out or division to figure it out, I can also use the same thing. One of the main things that we as 3rd graders use a lot are arrays. Okay, so when I think about arrays, I think about rows that are stacked on top of each other. Okay, so a lot of times the strategy that I like to use is stacking. Here we have 6 times something equals 12. Whenever you're multiplying, you're taking 2 smaller factors, putting them together, and you're coming up with a product that's bigger than them. So now I have one of my factors, but I don't have both of them. So if I'm thinking about an array, maybe I have my rows, but I don't have my columns. If I'm thinking about groups, I have my groups, but I don't have my pieces. So something is missing to make that number grow and be put together. So right here, I can say, okay, so if I have a row of 6, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you go ahead and, I'm going to pause for a second. Can you go ahead and put that row on your paper so you can watch and see how I do this? I'm going to pause for about 5 seconds and let you go in and do that. Excellent. Now that everyone is on the same page, everyone in your group should have this row on their paper. If they don't, encourage them to really stick it out, really be motivated, because remember, I want to be checking to see if your group was on task. I want to make sure everyone has this. Everyone is the smartest student in the class that works together. Okay, so now let's look at this. If I have one stack of 6, that's just 6. So that right there represents 6 times 1, which equals 6. That's one row with 6 columns, okay? Or 6 columns on one row, all right? So now if I take another stack, remember I call this strategy stacking. I'm stacking what is known. So now that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that means that 6 times 2 equals 12. 2 stacks. So that means the missing number is 2 because I have 2 stacks of 6. All right. Go ahead and write that in. Now remember, Later on today, we will have a quiz, so you know something like this may be on there. All right? Something like this. I may ask you something like 6 children have bags of candy. How many pieces of candy are in them if they have 12 total pieces? That tells me that 6 children. Now we know that they have 2 pieces in each of those bags, and it comes out to be 12. Now looking at this one, we have the unknown in the front as well. So that means something times 4 equals 20. So my unknown is here, and I'm multiplying it by 4 to get 20. I'll go ahead and make my stack. That's my first stack. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So now that I have that stack, I know this is 4 times 1. And that shows me there's 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. So let's try to do a second stack. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So 4 times 2, 1, 2 equals 8. All right? So let me add it up because I'm going to stop at my big number, which is 20. Okay? The next 4 is 9, 10, 11, 12. That means 4 times stack 3 times equals 12. I'm not at 20 yet, so I got to keep going. 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 4. Stacked 4 times equals 16. Add another row. 17, 18, 19, 20. So that means 4 stacked 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equals 20. And that's exactly what's missing. I have the 4. I was just missing my 5. All right. I like that I put this on video, so now you can go back and look at this strategy and see different ways to see that. Okay. I'm going to now show you the same strategy using division. Here we were using multiplication, so we were putting stacks together. In the next strategy that we're going to use, you're going to see me take stacks apart and sit them to the side. Okay, so let's